Okay, here's Geometry Lesson 8.2, using the properties of the parallelograms. We're going to find angle and side measures on parallelograms. So we have to go through what a parallelogram consists of and its properties. So theorem 8.3, if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then its opposite sides are congruent. So in the case of our picture there, if PQRS is a parallelogram, then RS is going to be congruent to PQ, and QR is going to be congruent to PS. Okay, next theorem 8.4, if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then its opposite angles are congruent, and again opposite angles, kitty corners. So if PQRS is the parallelogram, then angle P is congruent to angle R, and angle Q is congruent to angle S. So pretty much sides work opposites being congruent, and then angles work kitty corner being congruent. Okay, next theorem, we're on 8.5. If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then its consecutive angles are supplementary. And consecutive means kind of two in a row. So if you look at our picture, two in a row, y and x, two in a row, x and y, two in a row. So it doesn't matter, these two, then these two, but just two as you're walking around. Consecutive means two in a row. So if PQRS is a parallelogram, then x and y has to equal 180, because that's what supplementary means. So if we go to our examples, so there's your theorems filled in. Okay, we're looking at example 1. It says find the values of each variable. So we're going to do opposite sides first. So x plus 6 must be equal to 13. So in this case, x has to be equal to 7. And kitty corner angles, again, F is congruent to H, so y has to be equal to 68 degrees. Okay, so if you look at the next one again, kitty corner angles, so we can do y first. Y has to be 123 degrees, and then we go opposite sides. 2x minus 3 has to equal 37, so we add 3, 2x is 40, so in this case x is 20. Okay, so again we used the two theorems. Opposite angles are congruent, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles congruent, opposite sides congruent. Okay, if we go to example 2, it says as shown a gate contains several parallelograms. So find angle ADC when DAB is 65. Okay, so here's our picture DAB. So 65 is up here. We know that the two angles in a row have to be supplementary. So angle D is going to be 180, take away 65, or 115. So that means we actually really know all of the other angles. So we know angle C is going to be 65 because it's across from angle A, and then we know angle B is going to be 115 because that's across from C. So again, these two angles in a row have to be supplementary. So A and C are 65, B and D are 115. Okay, I'm going to turn the page. Okay, we're on theorem 8.6. And the other idea about a parallelogram, if a quadrilateral, again four-sided figure, is a parallelogram, then its diagonals bisect each other. Remember, we've used this word before. Bisect means cut into two equal pieces. So QM will be congruent to MS, PM will be congruent to MR. So we'll fill in the spots. So we have QM will go with SM, and PM will go with RM. So the two pieces are congruent. Okay, we're going to use that on the idea down below. So example 3 says the diagonals of a parallelogram intersect at point W. So we want to find point W. So if you look, point S is at 0, 0. Point T is at, we're not really sure because it's a halfway point, so we can't label that correctly. Let's go on to U. So if we look at U we can label correctly. So U is 6, 5. And then V again we can't label correctly because it's in between. So I'm going to use these 2 points to find a midpoint. Remember, midpoint of a line is x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. So in this case I'm going to go 0 plus 6 over 2, 0 plus 5 over 2. So my midpoint is going to be 3 and 5 over 2, or 3 and 2.5. Okay, we do one more just like it. So again, if we read our points, V is easy to read at 0, 0. W is at 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one's easy to read. X is at 7, 6. And Y is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. So we could either take, actually any of these two. I just happened to pick the V and the X, but we could also, if we didn't use V and X, we could also use the Y and the W. Again, we're trying to find the middle point. So I'm going to choose the V at 0, 0 and the X at 7, 6 because those two are right across from each other. So we're going to go 0 plus 7 over 2, 0 plus 6 over 2. So 7 over 2, 3 is the point, or 3.5, 3. So those are your midpoints based on the midpoint formula, which was the x1 and x2 divided by 2 and the y1 and y2 divided by 2. Okay, last example really should have been further up, but I guess we'll just finish it now. It's at the end of the page. It says, given that FGHJ is a parallelogram, find the other pieces. So please do not forget you had a theorem that said diagonals bisect, which means if this is a 5, that's a 5. So MH is going to be 5, and then FH is just going to be 5 plus 5. Okay, that should take care of 8, 2.